Hello and welcome back. Here we are on day number 7. Yes, I said day number 7. I'm still not sure how to work it out where we potentially have 7 days of devotion. What I may do is record everything all in one day, let you know that I'm doing that, and then parcel it out, automatically loading it up to Facebook and YouTube well ahead of time, so you know that I'm not working too hard every day and violating the Sabbath. Anyway, that's kind of beside the point, although that would call for returning and turning to God, which would be part and parcel of repentance. We've been looking at Hosea and his chance of a lifetime to play the part of God to Israel. And then with the woman he marries and the children she bears and the circumstances and the drama surrounding this is as dramatic, possibly more dramatic, than anything I've ever seen dreamt up and broadcast on, or heard about, broadcast on American or international television, the classic soap opera. This is way more tragic, has greater eternal significance, and is brutally honest. So we're going to go ahead and just plunge in as we're looking at the return, Hosea's story, and we're going to move right forward to this 7th part. We've been considering the names of the children, not loved, not my people. God shall sow as the firstborn son, followed by the nextborn girl, lo ruhamah, not loved, and then lo ami, not my people. The firstborn son is actually from Gomer and Hosea. The next 2 children are as a result of the prostitution of this known prostitute that Hosea has married. Wow. What a saga. What a drama. So now we move into this 7th part, and God has been talking about, through Hosea, lodging his complaint and really revealing with clarity the hearts of Israel. It doesn't seem to be all that well surfaced in the politics and everyday life of Israel. But God sees the heart and responds to the heart and reveals the heart. And we get this in Hosea chapter 2. We're looking at verses 5 through 8. We're coming up on the last part here, 7 and 8. And we read this: Then she will say, after the thorn bushes across the path, after finding her pathway barred and God getting in the way that would allow her to reconnect with her lovers. This is seen in Gomer's life, but it's also been evident in the geopolitics of Israel. They have found themselves reaching out to different nations and different people groups and connecting religiously with the different gods that are important to those cultures, the different Baals or Baals. So he goes to say here in Hosea chapter 2, verses 5 through 8, or actually 7 and 8, then she will say, after God basically has gotten into her business and has barred her way and is trying to help her wake up. What an activity of mercy and love. Then she will say, I will go back to my husband as at first, for then I was better off than now. Now, where have we heard that statement before? Anybody who has read through the New Testament a couple times comes across that very important story of what's called the prodigal son. But the idea of being prodigal is not the idea of wandering. It's the idea of being superabundant in your blessing. It's the story of the superabundant blessing father. It's the story of a father who stands at the end of the driveway and watches and waits for his son who has gone and lived a profligate living, has blown all of his income, and has come to his senses in the pig pen and has said to himself, my father's servants all have it better than I do. So we get this idea of the awakening, that moment of coming to yourself. It says, then she will say, I will go back to my husband as at first, for then I was better off than now. So this is an important awakening time. This is an important inflection point. It's a time to turn around and go back, to see the spot in the median where you can exit and turn around and go back if you're going in the wrong direction. Now, I want to caution you though, because as perfectly as that opportunity is presented, then there is a counter against that position. After a person begins to turn around, then they get into second guessing themselves. It would be wonderful if a person turns and returns to God and never second guesses themselves again. Just doesn't happen. And we're going to see that as we read on. So then she will say, I will go back to my husband as at first, for then I was better off than now. Is that true? Absolutely. She was in a much better position when she first married and bore a son, a firstborn son, to Hosea. But she has forgotten Hosea. She's forgotten that, and she has been busy in her lazy, selfish living, and it has taken her far away. She has encountered difficulty and opposition, and it's caused her to remember how things were at the first and to develop a desire in her to go back. Now notice this. She has not acknowledged that I was the one who gave her the grain, the new wine and oil, who lavished on her the silver and gold, which they used for Baal. Now the connection is made to the nation of Israel, to the people of Judah. They keep forgetting that it is God Himself, Yahweh, who has given them grain, the new wine and the oil. They have a new wine festival and a new oil festival. It's built in, according to the book of Leviticus, to the celebrations of their feasts. The one who had allowed her to prosper and had brought about the lavishing of silver and gold. And what had they done with all the raw material that God had given them? They used it for Baal. They gave it, they honored Baal, and they devised things in the honor of Baal or Baal. So we need to recognize this is the thing that makes it hard to turn around. We have made deep investments. We have put our creativity and our engagement into the idolatrous activities. We've made a deep soul connection. Our mind, our will, and our emotions have been deeply connected. And those things, when we make turnarounds in our life, now begin to rear their ugly head and cause us to second guess. So we need to have a repair, a renewal of the mind when we make the turnaround. We shouldn't be surprised. I just want to encourage you, if you turn towards God or you are returning towards the Lord from being wayward, you will second guess that return to the Lord almost immediately, because your soul has been deeply invested against Him, not for Him. And so the mind, the will, and the emotion needs to be cleansed, repaired, renewed, and made whole. Otherwise, you'll just find yourself U-turning again and heading back away from the Lord. So I just wanted to help you, that just give you a reality check that those turnarounds bring about second guessing. So as you meditate today, just think about that and maybe even ask the question to the Lord, Lord, where in my life have I made a turnaround and yet I find myself longing for the way things were, or second guessing my choice. I'm going to suggest to you that in your mind, your will, and your emotion, you have been deeply invested in things that were against the Lord, and He can get you and show you and help you by His Spirit and by the work of His Word and His presence upon you, how to get the turnaround completed in your soul. So you're doing more than something that is of a spiritual mindset. It's something which transforms you. Spirit first, then soul. And guess what? Your body will just tag along right behind it. So let your focus in your meditation today be upon your turn and return to the Lord, and where it stirred up some second guessing. Lord bless you. Hope to see you tomorrow.